Hello and welcome to yet another Legends of Runeterra podcast. Today I'm Conansson once again, and back from the forgiven or forgotten is Wick. Welcome back, Wick.
Hello. How is everyone doing? Hope everyone's well.
We had one recording with like Path episodes, and because Wick doesn't play Path, he didn't join. And yeah, glad to have you back. And yeah, today we will go back to constructed as well, to competitive discussions, and we'll talk about the roadmap. And for this one, I have the player who I have to thank for my own personal 7-2 finish here, and it's Restless, the Ibex guy.
Hello. Yeah, I'm mostly just like a Twitter shit poster. I basically like tried to popularize a version of Poppy Derek that includes like 3 or 5x and 8 support 2 drops. It worked really well for Conansson, and I just think that's the thing that I'm like more known for. I also got into like a couple of Twitter briefs, but that's not really important.
Yeah. And I basically love your Twitter. You have always some base takes, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you have like way more tweets than me, so that's also cool.
Oh no, this is an old account. Like if you go digging down, you will find some, 15-year-old, Twitter posts.
Yeah.
But yeah, leave the rest as a follow here, over here. Definitely base takes and
yeah, if you want to see me fight with people.
Also ABG, so full ABG podcast today. And we were going to talk about the roadmap. So this one dropped recently, but it's not really easy to find it. Like if you just type into Google roadmap, it's not going to show up. You have to like go to Twitter, to, for example, Wick's Twitter to find it or something like that.
No, actually, they actually include it with today's patch notes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Today, yeah.
Because I before that I typed in roadmap 2022 and just showed the old one and the 2021 one. So maybe I'm just bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it just dropped today. It took them a little bit to add it to the website. I didn't even expect them to add it.
But now we have it.
But yes. Perfect. And we'll drop the link to the roadmap in the description, of course, for you guys to check it out if you haven't seen it, if you're not on Twitter.
Absolutely. Or you can just look at the screen right now and read with us. And yeah, we have a bunch of events here. And the September one is already going on. We already talked about, I guess, most of them, the new PvE stuff. Seasonal tournament is a mistake here. It should be on October, right?
Yeah, they included it underneath the Darkin Saga Awakening because it's the Darkin Saga Awakening tournament seasonal. It's going to be in October though.
Nice.
Yeah, it is a bit confusing, but it's also kind of like hard to portray that with like these month segments when we mostly operate on like a 7 week expansion cycle, right?
Yeah, so it's the end of this season basically, but then we will have the next domination coming out. And and the season tournament will conclude this one in the start of October. I think it's the 4th or something, right? I'm not sure. Like the 4th of October in the season is. Maybe I'm just making stuff up.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's in the client though. Whatever the date is in the client, that's correct. Okay. But it looks like we're going to get 3 new champions in October. And then, followed up by the Worlds, and then 3 more in December. I guess, how do you guys want to run through this roadmap?
Well, firstly, as like a general statement, I think that it's pretty basic, and I think that's fine, honestly. I know that you might think that it's kind of like too bare bones, but I think that like after World Walker and after shifting to this like expansion,
the standalone
expansion oriented model, it feels like the Runeterra team has really just like gotten their tempo, and they're really comfortable with this. So I think that's fine. They're just like announcing, okay, we're not shaking things up. We're just gonna release the next 3 expansions, and then be excited for 2023, where I think the highlight is rotation. But I don't know if you want to talk about that right off the bat.
We'll get to that eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I'm a pretty big fan of this roadmap, actually. I've heard from before that you two say it's basic or don't really like it that much. But for me, it's just great news that Legends of Runeterra will be around for a while, and that they're also planning new formats, even though it's not Expedition, it's just expansions. But they are planning ahead, they're doing more stuff, and I think this is just a good sign for the future. And that Legends of Runeterra is not just going to get shut down in like a few months or so, because I know that they plan ahead for at least half a year usually with the expansions. So we are good for at least half a year, I would say, with this roadmap.
Yeah, I think when I first saw this, my first impression was that it was a little lacking. But, after spending some time reflecting on it, looking through all of the past developer communications from the past 2 years or so for this game, I think what had happened was because they had announced this roadmap so long ago, and comparing this to the previous roadmap that we saw at the beginning of this year, which had a video and a little bit more information, because it was, I guess because that one was the one for the beginning of the year, and I was expecting more from this one, but upon some introspection and thinking about it, this is exactly what they should be setting out, and all we should need, in my opinion. Like, I don't think we need much more insight than this.
Yeah, I think that's the roadmap kind of gets supplemented by the Awakening release video, the I think 2-hour live stream that they did, where they introduced basically equipments, which were this exciting new mechanic for the expansion. Also, like Nora, she's like a new Runeterra only champion, but that all got covered in the video. So I think this is more of like a general update rather than a video to get us hyped up, like we had at the beginning of the year.
Right. That's true.
But yeah, we can like talk to the single segments as well. I would say it's a good thing, because this first part happened already, the 2 new boards. I don't know. But did you get any of the new boards? Like, Vic, you're not a really good big cosmetic fan, right? Yeah.
Me? Oh, I'm a huge cosmetic fan. I have almost every board. I love the boards. I think those are my favorite cosmetics. I didn't pick up any of these Kayn things. I'm not really a huge fan of Kayn and his edgelord aesthetic. Like, I'm not really an edgelord when it comes to like, I don't know. It's like Darkins as a whole, like thematically, I'm just like, all right. I'm not really super into it. I like, it's fine.
Really?
So, but I did buy the battle pass, of course. You have to support the battle pass.
Yeah,
it's a very good one.
It's very good, and I have already finished it like in the first 5 days. Restless, how about you? Did you get any of the new boards?
Yeah, I don't usually buy boards. It's mainly like more of a personal issue, because I don't really like spending money on the game. I would like to, but it's just like I'm currently a student living alone. But bottom text. But I do plan on picking up the pass. I think it's really good. I think the new skin line is really, really good. And I think it's also good that it pulls like attention from league players and stuff like that. Kind of puts Runeterra more on the map and in the spotlight.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think the pass is good. The boards look cool, but yeah, I'm also not like a fan of Kayn, so I don't really like it. I would have much more preferred, like, I don't know. I'm probably gonna buy a Kha'Zix board, when it releases. When we have a full-on Void expansion, then. But I don't know. Up until now, right now, I'm not really seeing it.
Yeah.
But the board looks cool. Like, if you like Kane, I genuinely do recommend picking up the board.
They look rad.
But you have to play more money matches so you can afford more cosmetics. We'll get to that later.
True.
I'm interested.
If you want to win a cosmetic, you can sign up for the Mystic Shop Weekly, which actually pays out $15 for first place, which is enough to buy a board, right?
Yeah.
Even the expensive one.
Yeah.
Shout out to We the Peoples.
Yeah. Shout out to the Mystic Shop podcast.
So cool. And yeah, I was interested you don't like Kane. Like, I prefer Kane and the Darkin aesthetics much more for like Battle City, for example. And I find half of the Runeterra regions way too childish and I don't know, not dark enough.
You know what? I really love whimsy. I'll be honest. Like, I grew up with like Studio Ghibli and all of that. So when I think about like Battle City, really invokes like a feeling of like My Neighbor Totoro, and so I really don't mind that level of exactly. I love this card. It's so funny, right? Like this aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind it. We're playing a video game. It's actually super funny. This kind of ties into the censorship that's occurring to certain cards. There's the censorship for that Noxian 2 1 mana 2/1. Oh right. Do you have the censored cards? Yes. So what card was it? No, was it demo Legion Grenadier? No, what is that card? The 2 mana 2/1. Yeah, that one.
At least not in the.
Oh, okay.
No,
so
it should have.
It should. So if you open this one up, yeah. So the censored one, so the real one, right? She's about to assassinate these blokes, right? Cut them up. In the censored version, she's stealing honey.
Interesting.
And she's like smiling. And I don't know, like we play a video game. All right. I don't think that everything needs to be whimsical and fluffy, but like I don't mind it either because fundamentally video games are escapism. So like I don't hate the Darkin aesthetic. I actually think like these designs are beautiful, and like looking at this roadmap, like all these arts are so crazy. And I think we can chime in about how beautiful this latest expansion has been. But I don't know. I don't mind whimsy. I don't mind goofiness. But I think it does have to be balanced.
I like the Noxus art styles the most because I like so realistic and actually a war, and I don't know, I'm just a big, and like in Magic I have this randomly here, a big fan of like Sebmek Canon, who does like the semi-realistic art, and this is just so awesome. I find and it's similar to the Darkin.
Yeah.
Which I like, and yeah, you have like some backstories that Lulu goes around and is actually this crazy bitch that turns everybody into squirrels. But like it's Pix doing that, not Lulu. But I'm really split. Like I love some Bandle design, and like in general I like Bandle, but I'm also like really fine with the rest of the world of Runeterra. Like I'm mostly like thematically like Bilgewater, because from like a story perspective it's much more of like an outlandish town. There are some realistic stuff like the pirates and things, but there are also these like fantastical creatures. Like Pablo is so goofy. Like the concept of just like, oh, there's a fighting ring, which of course you would find in like the Boxopus. Yes.
Boxopus. Like the concept of a fighting ring is like really funny, and of course you would find it in Bilgewater, but like it's this, eight-armed octopus with just a bunch of gloves.
It's so funny, and he fights like the other guy, the Krusty Kotcher over here. I like all of the designs. Like I definitely have this as a background now. I just take any folder from these full arts and then just have it rotate half an hour. The LoR art is just so great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, big fan of the Darkin. But let's maybe move on to the next subject here. Event Pass, definitely great. So what are we coming up here? Domination. Do you think there will be like a Darkin for each region? Probably, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there will be a Darkin.
No, like
no, for each region.
Sword, like the chicken and the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a chicken. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we might get like a weapon plus Darkin cycle, like we got for the ballista, the lodestone, the SI spear, and there's Zolani. Yeah, basically
the
like
bloodletters.
Yeah, I think we'll get like one of those in each region, which I think is fine.
But
I think that's cool.
Vic, do not load the lore behind this card. Like, it's a little chicken.
No, I know it's a chicken. It's just so funny to call it chicken. Because it is, I don't know. It's just such a goofy Darkin. And I don't know the lore behind it.
Basically, there was... this is like a creature that Noxus uses to carry around ballistas. It's featured in other arts. I just can't remember which ones. And when you're trapped in a weapon, you're just like looking for any host.
No way!
Yes.
Took over a chicken, literally.
No. It's not a chicken. It's like
I watched Necrit. I watched Necrit, and he had the theory that he just literally took over a chicken. Like, he was like this dormant thing all of the time, and like farmers were like, "What is this stuff?" And then like as chicken came around, you see here, there's like no stuff here.
Oh my god!
Like, you can see the chicken here in the art.
Oh my gosh!
That is actually a fun interpretation. But yeah.
Darkin chicken, I love it. We love to see it. But no, I definitely think that each region will get, because like the one in the October splash looks like a build water Darkin, right?
It's like the void, but yes.
The purple one.
Yeah.
No, there's water.
Yeah, he's splashing around in water.
Yeah, makes sense. This one, we can't have Shadow Eyes again, right?
Yeah.
What's this one? Shurima? No, we have Shurima as well.
No. It could be Mount... No, we already have Mount Targans.
It could be Piltover or Zon.
Endless City.
Yeah,
it's not that now.
I mean, it kind of does look like a mech, right?
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah,
I'm excited for them. I think that the Darkin cards, in and of themselves, have proven to be very fun to play with.
The 2 modes.
Yeah, I think the Darkin cards are like... I said this when they were revealed, but they have this like... They're basically better attach, right? Because the whole point of attach was like, you have this thing that you equip to an ally, but then, later on, you can use it as a unit if you really have to.
Yeah.
But I think attach kind of failed in that fantasy, and the Darkin are a much better suit for this.
I never feel sad to play either half, except Bloodletters. It's just I personally didn't play with it much outside the Power of Champions, but I watch people play with it, and you just like have this engine going, and then you just eventually just play Skorani, and then G dies, you get the Darkling Bloodletters again. It's just infinite value.
So sick.
Yeah, I think this kind of like single card designs that feed into resource loops. I personally don't like the direction of those cards. Like, if the game goes into that direction, I think it's a really bad direction for the game. Because especially since Zolani is like very uninteractable, you basically need to obliterate her to get rid of her, and you kind of never run out of resources. It's like, she's obviously very powerful, she has her place, and she's not really dominating the meta, but I just don't think that it's like good design, healthy design at least.
Interesting, because I find like infinite value forever in the game. Like, for example, just look at the Undying, which you also have to obliterate basically to kill.
I mean, the thing with Undying is that it has a lot of limits. and it doesn't trigger itself because, like, with Zolani, the condition basically is that you have one unit that you just like equip the blood letters to at first, right? But with like Undying, you have to play the Undying, then you have to have all of these sacrifice spells, which of course as the game goes on, and they introduce more and more cards like Hate Spike, like Crumble, it becomes a better card, and we've seen it thrive again and again. But again, it requires other cards to fuel into its resource loop, and it's mostly used like kind of a mitigation for those costs, rather than this like self-serving engine that just keeps going and going.
For example, Howling Abyss, infinite value, even like University.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, I don't know. I've never found that these 1-for-1 value decks will ever exist because you just have so much infinite value. Even like as a Lari Priest, this is basically infinite value. No, not this guy. Like you just invoke one 4-cost guy, then you invoke the 10-cost, fill your hand with Celestial, then you invoke another 4-cost guy, and like just 3-mana 2/2 is basically infinite value.
True.
So I don't think like adding one more infinite value to it is so bad. And it's always like just from a fundamental thing in Legends of Runeterra, it's always been the case that you have to end the game at some point, or some crazy bullshit infinite combo will kill you. Like just Karma is basically the same thing.
True.
Level 10 win the game. Yeah. Akshan is like somewhat beatable, but he also like closes up the game. It's like no matter depending on what you do, you can just like space shield your guys, you can revive a guy, you can just go +2. Like you kind of have to win the game at some point. I think that's intended. I don't want to have these 30-minute games. So yeah, I don't think infinite value is like such a big problem.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. When I first saw the blood letters, I was very excited about this this card, and I thought it was going to be very powerful. I don't think it's proven to be as oppressive or as impressive either as I thought it was going to be. In regards to this sort of design existing in the game, Restless, on one hand, you play auction combo. All right.
Yes, but but that's because I hate infinite value. I play action combo because I hate infinite value. Like
you want to prove the point.
Yeah. Like no, you should read for sure. Please play Viger on 4. Surely it will advance your game plan.
Oh man. Surely. But I don't know. I feel like when it comes to this sort of cyclical card that, as you said, it's like an engine in and of itself, and it just does its own thing. It's not really interactive. I agree on that. I think it's a niche that I don't think is widespread, and I don't think we could take this card as an indicator that it's a direction that the game is going into. I think that the LoR developers are willing to put all types of designs into the game and not feel obligated to turn the direction of the game towards anything particularly. Like I think a lot of people always try to state things like, oh, they want to make the game less interactive. And I'm like, it's an Ionian meta, but okay. Like, it just feels like people are, it's just like what is the word? It's just an overstatement of like the fact that this card exists in the game doesn't mean that it's a direction of the game.
Yeah, I know. It's not a direction, but like, I don't know. I just don't like the card existing, kind of, because
that's fair.
I mean, yeah, I don't think it's powerful. I mean, I think it's powerful, but it's not like game warpingly powerful. Mm-hmm. I just think that, this card is cool, but if you continue repeating this design, and I see this design pop up in a lot of places, it becomes boring. Because, I don't know, like from my experience playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is what I played before Legends of Runeterra, the most problematic cards were like those that were almost entirely self-sufficient, that could, get you to a powerful end state off of one card, rather than like use synergy points to achieve something.
Interesting, because like I'm comparing currently Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot for another video, and I think the difference here is that you have a mana to spend. And sure, this is like fooling itself, but it's very slow at doing that. You have to put it on a unit, you have to kill the unit, and you get another unit, sure, you get some value out of it. Like, but it's like you can't link summon this away, for example, and it would be OP. But like, you link summon this one guy, it dies, and you link summon another guy, that's
that would be crazy.
Like
that would be crazy.
It's a 7/7 overwhelm.
Oh
my
god!
It's okay, but it's not like it has 3 negates in it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's for 6 mana. It's for 6 mana.
Yeah.
Which is like, 6 mana, like a turn 6, 7/7 with overwhelm.
Yeah, but you wouldn't put.
It's kind of good.
Ever. Like, wouldn't see any play 6 mana 7/7 overwhelm.
No. Really? What? I don't know. People were putting like 5 mana.
5 mana. It's like one headless attack and a space shield. Like Dunebreaker is so much better than this card. Oh, how's it called? Rune.
Oh. I think the combination of everything makes it like really powerful.
Combination.
I think the combination.
But you wouldn't put a 6/7 to any deck. That's not like Overwhelm, Darius or something.
Oh my god, this card's bad.
Oh my.
If I were to put a 7/7,
10/7 it has not seen play.
Ask Ricorex.
Oh yeah, the new overwhelm decks have been kind of popping off, haven't they? Huh?
Yeah, Red Gwen is an overwhelm deck.
It's an aggro tempo control.
Kinda. It's a fast mid-range deck with a burn finish, just like 90% of.
Oh, it's a Legends of Runeterra deck. God.
Yeah, a Legends of Runeterra deck, right? Like, if you think about it, every single deck currently in the format is just like, oh, I guess I'm going aggressive. Oh, and now I'm casting or summoning burn in some regard. Like, oh yeah, this 10/5 elusive hitting your face.
Man,
that's burn.
Don't you know that? Yes.
Every card is burn. We solved that out. Go check out the previous podcast that we did with the Skilled Roy. The Skilled Roy.
Literally, this card is
Skilled Roy.
Yeah, but
every card is gone.
God, I hate it.
Anyway, should we move on to the next point on the roadmap play?
Oh.
New champion. Yeah, okay. Next month.
So 3 new champions, right? I want to comment on this, okay? Because we see that the previous expansion had 5 champions, right? The expansion before that, right? These are quote unquote all standalone expansions, right? That is what they announced that they were going to be doing at the beginning of this year when we went into the World Walker expansion cycle. We received Jin. We received a lot of champions, but now we see that these expansions are still being bundled together in pseudo sets, right? And I think that's really interesting how we have, 5 champions, 3 champion, 3 champion cadence, just like we did when like Battle City released.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think it's more that like the sets themselves are much more self-contained, and you don't have like, Pantheon released in the first expansion, and he will have Yuumi, and I have to wait another 2 months to get Yuumi, and like Pantheon was still an amazing deck, and then we got Yuumi, and it was even worse. So yeah, like I think the expansions themselves are meant to be shipped as a singular product rather than we got a region and the region will have some region pairings, so we have to wait like this region pairing has been split up between these 2 expansions, and that kind of sucks.
And yeah, I'm kind of fine with it. And I like you always have to, from a design perspective, you always have to do like similar themes and stuff. Otherwise, people won't be interested in your product if you just like, here's a random guy and here's another random guy from another random city. Like, you have to make an overlying theme a little bit, I think.
Yeah. No, I want to talk about this. So we're getting an Arclight event.
Yes.
In October, which probably means that we're getting Varus. Now, me personally, I really love Varus. I love his story. I love his league gameplay. I actually like one of the first custom card design contests. I submitted Varus.
Okay.
And yeah, I have high hopes for the champion. I'm really hoping I don't get disappointed, because he kind of has like a split identity in League, where like half people want him to be this lethality sniper champion, and half of them want, and me and other people want to see like 4 attack speed, getting those steroids, getting those picks, etc., etc. Like, so yeah, I think like it's kind of bad. No. No, I kind of feel bad that Master Yi was released, because I really wanted Varus in Ionia, because I wanted him to have double attack, and I wanted to play with that.
I think that all the
Terran, right? Yeah, it's it's looking like it.
Yeah.
Well, the Darkin champions, right?
Vic. Yeah.
Because I think what's up? I was just I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Because like Varus is my least favorite ADC in LoL. Mainly because I have like a friend who's like really good at him, and whenever I play him in ARAM, he's like always blaming me for missing my Q or stuff like that. That's why I never pick him. He's like always a split identity, because like
that sucks.
I couldn't pro play right now. When I last played LoL, it was like terrible because they couldn't balance him. But they had like these 2 identities.
Yeah, I'm not sure. His problem in pro play is that they never try to push his attack speed identity, and then they just like randomly buff his Q, and he becomes this like annoying poke champion for 3 months, and they're like, okay, lethality Varus didn't work, and whenever they buff attack speed Varus, he's like extremely healthy. He comes off as like a counter meta pick with stuff like Dom, stuff like Thresh that can protect him. He's just like a regular hyper carry with a pick ability. He's like on Ashe side grade, basically.
Maybe I'm just bad at him.
Yeah. I didn't want him to be Runeterran as well. I'll agree with you on that point. I wish he could have been Ionian. Maybe they will, but I think that the developers have specifically stated that they want to get champions out of Ionia. So I think there's no way that he's not going to be Runeterran at this point, unfortunately. What do you think his origin will be?
I'm not sure. Like, with the direction that we've been going, he'll probably have like Kane Jack's origin. I don't think that they will experiment not recently, in the near future, with like Jhin style origins. I don't think he will have a special effect, because him as a champion doesn't really have like an origin based effect.
Opponent can't heal.
But yeah. Oh yeah, that'll be. Oh yeah, I actually posted this, like, it was like a card named after his E. I think it's Corrupted Ground or something. And I had it like, deal 2 damage, and also enemies can heal for the rest of the turn. And they were like, huh? I didn't even know that his E did that. And I got so sad. Wow. Man. Yeah. Varus is such a cool champion. But yeah. Also the like going on into the Arclight event. I think that Arclight is a really cool skin line. And I think that the designs will be really cool. I hope, like, I don't know, some of the champions that didn't get any skins yet.
Ashe.
should probably get them. Yeah, Ash.
Silver.
It's a silver, please.
Arclight LeBlanc, let's go.
Yeah, like I think Twisted Fate could be the legendary of the state of the set. Yeah, he could have like cool cards.
Mid-balance patch.
And yeah, sure. Oh my god, thank God. Finally.
Sorry to rewind a little bit, but going back into the September tab, we do see that we have the mid-season balance patch coming up right before the seasonal tournament. Yeah. Do you guys think that there's anything that stand out currently that needs to get severely nerfed, or what do you guys currently think about the state of the meta going into this next balance patch and the seasonal tournament?
Unless you don't want to.
Ionia. Everything about Ionia. Like, I don't know. I think that Ionia is a very cool region, but I think that any deck that like runs recall should be deleted from the game. No, the call recall.
Oh, Homecoming. You wanted to mention Homecoming.
No. The 1 mana card.
That's sad.
Wow.
It's called recall.
Is it not called recall? It's like 1 mana recall an ally.
Pull it up over here. Card images. Ionia.
Yeah, I think that like historically, any deck that has included that card has not been a fair deck. I think that like a lot of people, when they're discussing the card, they're like, oh, this just protects your combo pieces. Or like, I don't know, oh, it's protection, just play on the stack, etc., etc. But whenever this card is used, usually the cards that you're recalling also have on-summon effects,
right?
Which are very common in Ionia. And like suddenly it doesn't just become like protection. I protect my guy, and now they're doing some things. You're mostly like recalling a cannon, getting a 3 mana, 3 damage, 0 cost spell in your hand. You're protecting your Eye of the Dragon. You're getting a spell trigger for Eye of the Dragon, and like I don't know, like this is the entire concept of like this card in general becomes toxic as more and more cards get printed. We also saw this problem with like Azir Relia, where they also ran this card, and you were drawing a card, you were getting an extra Blade Dancer, you were doing all of these like things that basically bypassed the usual resource limitations.
It's so interesting to me. Like when I first got in constructed, I was a very big Expeditions player, and then we had like this meme where there was like a landmark, custom card landmark, where it said like, if all of your cards are Ionian at the start of the game, summon me, and you lose the game because every card's are Ionian. And it was this big meme that all of Ionia is bad and unplayable, and everybody made fun of recall. And then they suddenly released new cards, and deck is actually good. And it's just so amazing to me how.
Yeah, I think Ionia is like a problematic region because it has so many synergy points. And like Eye of the Dragon also, usually mentioned, people are like, okay, this card is good, but it's kind of mediocre. And then every time you see it in the meta, it just produces literal non-games against aggro. Like every time they draw it, you just can't win.
Even mid-range.
Yeah, even mid-range.
Blockers.
Even mid-range. Like against like Poppy Derek and decks like that, you're like building up these huge boards, and they're just hitting Dragonlings, and you can't do anything about it because Ionia has all of this protection, it has recalls, etc., and you're just like not doing anything. But then like they nerf all the strong cards, and Eye of the Dragon just remains untouched. And so people are like, "Oh, Eye is fine."
No, Eye is definitely not fine. Should be like a one at least. I agree with that. It's way too uninteractable for like aggro. Should type the Silvering Tracker or something. So I agree with that, but I don't think recall is really that strong. Like I've always compared recall to, I guess we can put it up again, to iterative improvement, and that you just get an extra copy of the card you have on board in your hand, and you don't even get the +1/+1, and it's not burst, it's fast. And yeah, it makes it a little bit better, but I don't think recall is like the real problem of these decks. It's more like that they can.
I know the problem is like you can also ghost block with recalls. I think that's also a big problem with homecoming.
Homecoming is more.
Is that when you have Wool of Ionia, it's just like removing a unit and sending it back to the hand. But homecoming usually produces a ghost blocker and does a Will of Ionia. So you're mostly like losing your attack turn to a homecoming if it happens ever. And that's also like a very big problem with the Conansson decks, the Nami decks, etc., where you'll try to put on aggression, but a single homecoming, they don't outright kill your board, but losing the attack token is a much bigger deal against these decks than losing like some mid-static
I agree
units.
that homecoming is more problematic, but at the same time you have to have these tempo like absorbers in the game, otherwise you can't have any slow decks anymore. So maybe it should be like 5 mana or something. Kind of funny that you had like Will of Ionia at 5, homecoming at 4, and people were saying like, oh my god, homecoming is so bad. And now we realize that the actually recalling your own unit is actually really good. But I also think like the taste
definitely
impact. Like you can just play it like homecoming a deck where you like, don't necessarily want to have homecoming and just have like a health potion instead.
Yeah,
I think this taste is a little bit too good.
I think Tellstones in general shine when you have like one good option and then 2 like situationals. We see this with like Three Sisters, where like, oh, you want Frostbite most of the time, but when you're picking it for the other stuff, it's like really good. So yeah, like if homecoming is really good, and decks want to run homecoming, and also it's in Ionia, so it's an additional spell trigger for stuff. So like, of course, the Tellstone will be good, but I don't know. I think it's more of a problem with like homecoming and with Ionia's like Ionia being good with spell triggers in general.
Vic, anything you want to add?
Yeah. No, I really think that Ionia is very strong as well right now, but it's always been such a polarizing region, and I don't know. I've heard, Dresbo has mentioned that he thinks Ezreal is a problem.
No, Ezreal is not a problem.
Oh no! Ezreal definitely is a problem. Like the card, like no, okay, don't get me wrong. Like Kennen making 10 0-cost spells is definitely an issue, but I think Ezreal is also has this like problem where like, oh, Ezreal is kind of good in some decks, but then they print out something, and he just becomes too overpowered. We can't have him in the game anymore. He has to get nerfed again. I think a lot of these cards just create, I don't know if there's an official term for it, but I call it negative design space, where like, okay, you printed this card, and now you have to be mindful of like not printing anything that is too synergistic with this card. I think Draven plus Lost Soul is a really good example of this. Where like, oh, Draven gives you like infinite discards, so just don't print something that just has infinite value off of discards. And then they print, Lost Soul, and suddenly we have Tribune with Lost Soul. We have Scion decks just controlling the board constantly and getting these like 4-mana 4/3 challengers down. And Draven has to go down to 3/2. And, we have to go on Twitter and say, we want Draven. Please, hashtag save Draven.
Yeah, Science Space is definitely a good point in Legends of Runeterra in general. For me, it's always, like as example is Karma. I think they made a big mistake releasing Karma that early with this broken 10 mana effect, because literally can't print any good Ionia spells that are not useless if you copy them. Like Homecoming is useless if you copy it, Recall is useless if you copy it. You can't ever make like a Ionia deal 2 damage or something. It would instantly break everything that we love and know. So that's like a lot of negative.
Don't we have an Ionia deal too?
Well, you can play the Ionia with the cannon.
Oh, okay.
Cannon karma. It's like
yeah.
Yeah, and it's also useless when duplicated because
And if you look at Ionian spells,
yeah.
literally every spell outside of drawing more spells is useless. It's like the biggest negative design space.
Yeah, karma is a very big negative design space maker.
Like health pot or something, but the rest is just literally all combat tricks or cards that do nothing when they come. Yeah.
What do you mean? The 4-mana card run in Flurry of Fists goes hard with karma.
I guess Dragon Ember summons 4 Dragon Links instead. So you have like some effects, but like cards like Shadow Flare and all of these effects.
See, what about 9 lives, bro?
Children of the Forest.
That's how we should be playing karma deck.
Strongest font of the default. Oh boy.
But it's even opponents. It's even opponents.
Like a PNC card could cost 4 mana or like 3 mana even. I don't know. Could like a Beach Water 3 mana, burst speed, summon 2 guys. Could be fine-ish. Probably too strong, but like we can never make this in Ionia.
No
way. What are you talking about?
Did you just say 3 mana, summon 2 guys at burst
speed?
Yeah.
In the Nami region. Yeah, totally not biased.
We have my RIWAN, it's basically the same card.
Okay. Right.
Yeah,
basically.
Except one cost 3 spell mana.
And you literally can
it's a pretty interesting breakpoint.
Already with like double
Yeah, but it's not the burst speed.
It's not burst.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, back to negative design space. Yeah, I can see.
I don't know.
Like Ezreal is just like resolved spells still. It's like one card that should go back to play cast change and stuff. That's my point on it.
Yeah, but that kind of defeats the point, honestly. Like, I think he just needs a rework at this point. Because him just being a machine gun with like all of these spells that you cast, I don't think that's like healthy design. And even when it wasn't burst speed, like having him just like kind of poke your nexus for 1 or 2 every time they cast a spell, it has been really problematic.
If you recall the Ezreal, then don't take damage from these spells anymore. So that's something.
I guess
see how it will work out. So maybe we should cover other stuff though. And Arclight event, nice PvE. We will talk about that in PvE.
Yeah, true.
Like a new person we want to invite in October. And yeah, Worlds. What do you think about Worlds?
I think it's interesting that we're not gonna I don't know. It's just gonna be a gap of like only a balance change, right? I think people are going to get mad. I feel like people are going to complain about the game being hella stale around when Worlds happens. And then talk about how, I don't know, wow, that's really, because like, you look at it, it's like September expansion, October expansion, December expansion. It's like, all right.
Yeah, I think, but it's probably going to be like early December. And this is coming in early October. I think that they really condensed this like October expansion and the September expansion, so that they had time for Worlds, and they also wanted to fit in like one more seasonals before Worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why there's like this big open gap
around Worlds.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe we just have like a lot of hype content, and they surprise us with a patch somehow.
Well, yeah, they have the Worlds balance patch, right? So Are we not getting a big balance patch in October? No, we shouldn't be, huh? It would be the Worlds patch.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be in November. I think that like the World's balance patch could be very big, and that's how they keep the game fresh for like.
What do you think about doing all of these
December
patches before like the big tournaments? Because I'm not a big fan. Like you prepare all the time, and then you just randomly have this deck prepared, lineup prepared, and then it gets nerfed into oblivion.
Yeah, it's a lot of people have been complaining about it. I think that since they cut it down from like 2 weeks to 1 week, it's been much less bearable. But there's like this kind of balancing act between like, oh, you don't want a completely stale meta to be at these tournaments, but you also don't want like extremely fresh metas that haven't been solved at all. So I think that maybe pushing it back like 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, would be a good balance. Like 2.5 weeks before the tournament.
Okay.
I think it's definitely within Riot's MO to shake things up before large events. They do that in League of Legends. They've done that for like over a decade, and I think they've proven to do that consistently in LoR as well. I mean, we had that massive playcast change and the burst pass removal, right? Like it was like a week or two before Worlds or seasonals, excuse me. So I think what they try to instill, because I think fundamentally the balance patches, I don't know, are they ever that impactful? Like they're a little, right? They definitely kill certain decks, right? Like when they remove Zenith Blade from the game, like that sort of change when they're present in the patches is hyper impactful. But I think, they try their best to reward players and competitors who are good at adapting. But I feel like there's so many times where a patch will come through and the same 5 decks from the last patch are still exceptionally valid and viable, unless they were like specifically targeted by big nerfs,
The last 3 patches, like.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. The problem is that it's really hard to predict what will have an impact, and they seem like very reserved. I think the most risky change that they did, which paid off a lot, was the hate spike from 2 to 1 mana. Yeah, it was already like kind of low key. It was kind of good, but not a lot of people were really on it, or they hated the card. And now it's just like 1 mana. It's everywhere. It's just like it's always value. It protects your champions when they come down after your hate spike. And like that, of course, paid off. It shaped the meta of the seasonals. People who like discovered the Kindred Nasus deck were on the mathematically best lineup of like Kindred Nasus, Pirates, and Kaisa, and like patches can change metas, but it's they have to be really careful of like what they buff, what is seeing fringe play, and then pushing that into the limelight, or just like buffing extremely underrated cards to be just outright broken, and then creating new decks that way.
I wish it's just like this attack. Like this would be so good with attack.
Yeah.
I don't know, I would love this card as attack.
True. Actually, no. I was actually thinking about making it a 2-1, and I was like, wow, does that break the game? And it probably does. Yeah, it probably does, especially with Nora. But yeah, the actually making it a deck would be a really nice change.
The cards that are not discovered at all, and then you buff them, and people find out that they're really good. Like the Vanguard Sergeant is like the best example for that. talked about it before.
Yep.
It's like nobody played this guy, and then it made him a 3/4, which was broken, and then everybody played him, and they made him a 3/3 again. People were like, "Hey, this card is still really good, and we should definitely still play this card." And
yeah, three mana draw win condition is like
there's so
actually
many
kind of good.
unsolved decks or possibly good decks. Like I see this right now. I looked through all of the decks that I played in Masters top 100 players yesterday, and there were like 52 decks. It's the experimentation and a bunch of others that's like being tried out once or twice, but a ton of decks see like these 100 games or something. They have different values, different attitudes, and it's just a lot of random stuff showing up, like on Bard or something. And seeing like, play as the biggest mid-range deck, just like go
interesting.
bigger, go home. They had like
Orn Bard
top level, so it's like something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds hilarious, honestly.
But yeah, that's good for the balance patches.
Yeah.
Worlds hopefully will be exciting. We will also do a podcast on Worlds for sure. For the other stuff, Darkin Saga Finale,
Sure,
it's very the same thing. And then we will have rotation. Maybe we can talk about rotation still. Or is there anything else before rotation you want to talk about in these two?
What champions do you want to get like corrupted skins next?
Oh, is that? Oh, so Zoe's coming out in December?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, poor hat.
Yeah.
Oh, rich.
I was having like 600 laying around just to buy Zoe. Maybe
okay. Wow.
Still waiting. I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be a legendary skin.
We definitely will see
yeah.
new. How's she called? The new Stingray champion, Belvev or something. No, how's she called? Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, you think so?
Really?
Really?
Like,
why would you think that Belveth is coming out in December?
Is it
because of the corruption?
Yes, because like it's literally
Void Mom
story. Like, do you know her lore?
No way.
We already have the Belvethi Elder, because Belveth is basically the void creature. I think this guy this is like Belveth almost.
Yeah, I think that's really weird. I think that them releasing Kaisa and then just going off into I think that was really weird. I really expected us to like basically have void expansions after the Kaisa ones, but I don't think that Belveth will come.
Yeah, that's a good point. But like that's basically what happened with the city is basically Belveth is absorbing it and turning it into her, and that's why it's called Belvethi Elder and stuff like that. Maybe we get that later. Could also be a big. I can see that with like Darkin.
Oh, it's next year. It's next year for sure.
Yeah, Copio, Void. We're gonna have the Void Saga roadmap next year.
Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
Copium. Oh no, they're gonna make all the Void champions Runeterran, huh?
No, they won't. They'll make some like they'll make some Shuriman. They will make some of them. I don't know. They'll scatter them across Runeterra. They won't make them all Runeterran.
Like with the McCain, who's literally living in Ionia for his whole life, Runeterran. I think the Void should be Runeterran.
I think that like the entirety of Void champions being Runeterran will fill it up. Maybe they will have like a shared origin. That would be cool.
Oh,
that would be cool actually.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. Huh?
Either put them in a normal deck or play them with their origin. Be cool.
No, if they had like if all the Void abominations had like a singular region with like a pool of cards. Wow, maybe we just want a Void region. I think maybe that's the solution.
Oh, no.
Elite Dynasty, I would propose to that.
Fuck. Yeah, actually, just delete Battle City.
We're back to the Void Region Copium 2023.
Oh,
you heard it here first.
But yeah,
Void believers.
Anything else you
I
want to talk
still
about
believe.
in these last two things? Because still
I
talk
don't
about
know.
rotation. I don't want this to be.
Yeah, we can start talking about rotation.
Well, before that, let's talk about LoR exclusive champs. I really think that it's lame that they spoiled that there's going to be more LoR exclusive champions. I think that when Nora was released, it was really exciting to have something that didn't exist in other Runeterra related games. I wish they didn't spoil that. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about.
Yeah, like if I would Nora, it's like pretty forgettable
Really?
in my opinion. This would be like the only one.
Oh. They're not the only one, but
I think it's reasonable. I think the reason they put it in 2023 is that so we don't expect it in the upcoming expansions.
Heck W.
I mean, like, okay, I know it sounds like kind of copium, but if they released one this expansion, then and like, oh, it's so hype, Nora, Yumi has been searching all over her for her.
Yeah.
But then like, you know, we get nothing in October or December. People might get disappointed. So I don't know.
I think we definitely get Cytherea as a champion. Like that's the whole storyline that literally broke the whole community of LoR people, and then like everything with how's this called? Comma will be like a champion. Like
yeah.
Cytherea, obviously Yoni. We have Senna. Yeah, but like
Yon's won't be exclusive.
Have like a comma, they might make them into champions later. Cuts without a comma.
Oh yeah,
that's actually.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I think Cytherea is like a good candidate. We already have 3 versions of her, and she has a lot of the Demacian lore. I think if they were to do like a first cross, like a cross champion between Legends of Runeterra and League of Legends, I think Cytherea would be like a very good start off.
Yo, they'll put Cytherea into TFT first. Watch.
True.
Nah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's funny that we're gonna get exclusive champions.
Obviously.
Oh yeah, Bird is obviously going to be another champion, right?
What do you mean? Bird already is a champion.
For who? What? The dragon, you know.
Fair enough, definitely. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Why did they give this one guy a name and the other like weapon master is not so interesting? The other.
Because he hit it literally. Yeah. No. Like, so I just read this if you open up his page,
name, Pesh and something. It's a story, but it's just like the one Piltoven Castaway and then Fire Wrath. Okay, open Fire Wrath.
She's
assuming
epic,
gender 2022.
Or they're epic.
No, because.
Oh no! It's a she. Yeah, Ferret is a she. But
no, because she hit her name, right?
Oh, that's
Jack asked for Pirate's name. 2007. I am the Reaper.
Jack W.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get more champions, I'm sure. But I don't know. They didn't have to tell us, in my opinion. But I guess we'll start talking about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rotation. Restless, you're our guest. You want to start? Ooh.
Yeah, I'm really against rotation, mainly because I think I've thought about this with like Riot Lock, or in other games it's known as Conquest, where like certain design decisions that might not impact directly the expansions, they impact them indirectly. So, for example, we've seen a lot of like Ashe Nox buffs and new support cards in the last couple of sets. And I'm just worried that, if they introduce rotation, they have all of these cool archetypes built around doing some cool stuff. They rotate them out, and they just like almost never print cards for them again. Because like, oh, it's the wild format. Why would we print cards exactly for that format? Yeah, because I've seen it happen like Hearthstone, where they have repeating themes such as Secret Rogue and Secret Hunter, or like Ramp Druid, and then they rotate out to Wild, and they either A, become forgotten until like a couple of years down the line, or B, they just like have no care to them and just become incredibly overpowered in the Eternal format.
Okay.
What do you think, Conansson?
You can feel it. You like play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh, I would say, because I come from Magic, and it's like not a problem over there. Like, sure, you don't get the new cards, but recently Wizard of the Coast started printing new sets specifically for these old sets, which is kind of not that good actually, because they really introduced so many broken cards like Modern Masters and stuff like that. Kind of not recently anymore, like 5 years ago, but 4 years ago. But it really depends on the corporation, and I think because Riot has all of these champions, they will not just ignore champion. I guess we have like, if you look at League of Legends, you have some champions that are definitely being ignored, but like
I think we're really lucky that Rek'Sai is tied with Pike, because otherwise Lurk would have no cards printed.
The old artwork. I don't know, maybe like Riot is not actually that good at.
Oh my god!
If you say people like action and like Narcissus are in the same game, it's like Garen. It's kind of sad, but like League of Legends. But I just historically from all the card games I've played, except Yu-Gi-Oh, like all of them had rotations, and I found that the non-rotating format's always more fun because you have like this one deck, and it just keeps being a deck. You don't have to like run around the meta, and especially like Magic, you have like this one deck, and then you log back in and still play my one deck, and so it's not going to be tier 1, but it's going to be tier 2, because you don't add these overpowered cards all the time. Like you don't power creep the game. You don't have to power creep the game. Like in Yu-Gi-Oh, you just have to print the new set so broken and so ridiculous that people play it.
Yeah, I think that's like a very common misconception with like rotation and like rotating formats, is that they keep the power level in check. But from my personal opinion, I don't think that it's like, oh, we need to sell. I mean, yeah, it kind of is. We need to sell new product, but also you can't. There's only so many ways you can print like vanilla 2-mana 2/2 with keywords on it, right? Like, eventually you're gonna like have to start designing more complex things. And the current state of Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't really seem like it doesn't really seem like a consequence of just constant power creep. Because honestly, like the first format that I played in Yu-Gi-Oh was TOS format, and it's honestly like some of the decks during that format were quite literally like, if they got all of their stuff unbanned, it would like probably be some of the best decks in the format right now. But devs have to figure out new mechanics to play with, new keywords to invent, new play patterns to basically put into archetypes, right? So sure, we can pretend that like Garen is bad because he is understated or anything, but he's just kind of like a relic from when the game was simpler and when you should have been designing cards like Garen, right? Like if Garen was bumped up to like a 6/6 or a 6/7, he would be really good. But right now.
I just wanted to show, like, I guess this is all the costs, but you can print a lot. Maybe I should like filter that by, let me go back here. Sorry.
But you see that like some of them start having text,
that
right?
much is clear, but you have a lot more combinations. Let's add mana value of 2 as well.
But
see how many 2 mana 2/2s you can print. Wait, what? No, I did not take my thingy. Equal to 2, I guess. Sorry. 665. That's half of the cards we have currently in Legends of Runeterra. So I think we are a far, far way away from being like in this.
Yeah, but they like if you take a 2 mana 2/2 from one of the first sets, which is the grizzly bear, right? And then you take from 2 mana 2/2s from modern sets, they will have a lot more text. And it's not because like, oh, the game has been power crept. It's because like designers constantly are running out of design space. They have to design something new, something flashier, something more exciting. So the power creep kind of goes hand in hand with that because, you know, obviously complexer cards will be better than simple cards a lot of the time. But it's not, sorry, I just knocked over something. But it's not always just like outright the devs want to power creep last format and are printing just better
because
cards.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can print a lot more similar effects, which are just like slightly different and can do your design space over here. For example, you have like this guy, you can pay 0 for it for the same effect, destroy an artifact enchantment. This guy is like an aura that you can blow up. And then you have like, I guess, 122 cards that basically do the same thing. This one gains 2 life. Because you don't have to make the next card more broken than the last card, you can just print the same effect over and over again, different shapes.
I mean, yeah, but they kind of already do that in Runeterra, and they also do that in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like you have, for example, the most clear comparison is like Dark Refer and Armageddon Knight. They're both, it's just like YGO database, something like that.
I don't have like this guy or something. I always found this deck super ugly. So Armageddon Knight, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Armageddon Knight and the Dark Refer. Like they're both level 4 Dark Warriors that send a dark card to the graveyard. But, you know, Dark Refer can special summon itself. Mm-hmm. It can, you know, it has to discard to activate its effect rather than just like being a non-summon effect like Armageddon Knight. And so like it becomes a side grade, right?
I saw this card before, yeah. So basically it's this deck is not very, I don't know. Yeah. It is summoned.
You have the text here. Card text, send one when this card is summoned, send one dark monster from your deck to the graveyard.
But the other guy is like better, right?
Yeah, the Dark Refer does that, except it can special summon itself from the hand by discarding a level 5 or higher dark monster. And then also you have to discard to activate the effect.
I literally just saw this card on my Instagram feed. What the hell? This is tripping me out that we're talking about it. Dark Refer?
Yeah, Dark Refer.
Yeah, I was looking at that card and I was like, wow, this would be broken in Teledad.
Can you spell it?
Yeah, we're long past Teledad.
Yeah.
G-R-E
like that.
B-H. Yeah, E-R. No.
B-H.
G-R-E-B-H.
Oh, I also saw this guy once.
All these fake words. What are these devs doing?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like,
is this card new?
I don't know. It's like, I think 2000 and...
It's old, right? I feel like I recognize this card.
It's like semi-old.
Yeah, I mean...
2008, what the hell?
Oh my god. But, in regards to rotations, I don't even I can't believe that we would be at a place where we have enough cards to even justify that conversation. Like the devs earlier this year, like literally the only insight that they could give regarding rotation in LOR was that it's complicated. And I mean, we live in a game with live balancing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just kill cards. They rotated Zephyr Blade. Is that, you know, like Zenith Blade, the Zenith Blade is not in the game anymore.
Yeah, and Yu-Gi-Oh does this too. Like if a card becomes too powerful or too meta warping, they either like put it on the ban list or they just like outright errata the card, but that's fairly rare. And yeah, like we're doing live balancing. We can do this. It's not like Magic where bans are, at least they were in the past, extremely rare and for like extremely problematic cards. We just say, oh, okay, you know, it's been 2 months. Kaiser has been good. New pirates have been good. All of these decks have been good. Okay, let's just like tap them and let the new stuff be better. And I think that's a very good like benefit of live balancing, where you can just like print cards around the same power level and then like either nerf them to like push them back in line with the rest of the things, or if the old stuff is still dominating, you can tap that again, maybe buff some new cards, and then like still have a fresh new meta.
I think that Legends of Runeterra is a lot simpler than, like, from the design space that you have no activated abilities from units on the board, you have no I don't know, like cantrips or something like that. You have no real, I guess you can have chains, but like in the design space, Legends of Runeterra will always be a lot simpler, I would say, than the other two games. And this will limit it a little bit.
I think that's what they said with Hearthstone, and Hearthstone has just like been also progressively becoming more complicated with, for example, Spellburst, dual class cards, tri-class cards even, and stuff like that. We're like, yeah, the base system is bare bones, but of course, as time goes on, we will see new and new mechanics that like reiterate on these basic systems.
Sure, Spellburst. I still haven't seen a complicated Hearthstone card.
I'm sorry?
Hearthstone viewers, but it's like, sure, you have like all of these.
I mean, Spellburst is kind of complicated. Oh no, they released new cards that like you summon it, and then you discover a card, and then your opponent discovers a card at the start of their turn. But like, I don't know, like, I get what you're saying, but Hearthstone has bumped up its complexity, and Runeterra is still fairly new. It still has a lot of design space to cover, so we could potentially see like a more complex
like for me
Runeterra in the near future.
But I think the interesting part of Legend of Runeterra is not the complexity of the cards, but the interaction with your opponent and the constant back and forth. And similar to like League of Legends, where you have 4 abilities and they all are kind of the same, but it's what you do with these 4 abilities, how you use the information you're gathering. And it's similar to like League of Legends versus like Dota, for example. You have like these 10,000 books you have to read before you can play the game. In League of Legends, it's kind of simpler, but different parts are more interesting in regards to that. That's what I love about Legends of Runeterra, personally. But yeah, we're drifting kind of away.
Yeah, I hope that the way they say this, right? They say new ways to play, including rotation. Like, I really would hate to see like the competitive ranked mode have a smaller pool of cards than labs or normals. I don't know. It would just feel weird. I left Hearthstone after rotations, and obviously like I'd be surprised if they rotated champions. So it sounds like they're just going to be rotating.
They're going to rotate champions for sure.
You know, followers and stuff like that.
They're going to rotate champions for sure.
Pardon? Oh, that would be painful. With skins.
I think that's going to be like a very big pain point, because we have mastery, we have skins, we have like all of these things that will let you. We have prismatics, like all of these things that like let you invest into a champion. Plus, it's also like much more character driven than card games like Hearthstone or Magic, where you can get like attached to a champion and then just like one trick a champion. For example, like we've talked to I Need Attention, who has 1 million mastery points on Katarina, and like they outright said like if they rotate Katarina, I'm probably going to just outright quit the game. Because like
you can just play them in wild then, like in the non-rotational format.
I'm sorry?
And then they can make the card good again.
Yeah, but
like I mean, rotate out of the broken cards.
I guess, but it's not the same.
Cards, you just put Kaiser into wild and give her focus speed again. And everybody that wants to play broken Kaiser goes wild. And then everybody who builds very fair cards plays the normal format. Like it's not like you kill the card, you just make it broken and in wild. That's how they do it in Hearthstone. Yeah.
I don't know. It feels weird. Like I'm surprised that Riot would even consider splitting up the queue bases when they don't even want to introduce like more ways for people to play the game, because people aren't playing the game in the variety of ways that are provided to them. You know, that's why we lost Expedition. Like, do they really think that we have the player base that will play between the two different styles? Like, I don't know.
I don't like this.
It just stresses me out.
Saying we don't have the player base to split it up, because people will come to the game to play certain modes. Like just for example, Erd. People who play Erd all day won't play Constructed all day. That's just most people I know from Expeditions just left the game afterwards. Like Expeditions losing Expeditions didn't bring 10,000 more players to Constructed. It brought 1,000 players to Constructed and lost 9,000 players, I would say. Like the pure Expeditions people I know, they're all gone basically.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, but that's the same problem with like rotations, because not every broken shit. If you just like rotate the broken shit, not all of the broken shit is at the same power level. So like, do you really want to buff Twisted Fate and then like let him run wild in an eternal format, or do you want to have him at like a decent power level but in a rotationless format? Like I think that's the problem here, because if we're only rotating out the good stuff, then the eternal format becomes extremely wild. The difference between the tier 1 deck and the rest are just probably going to be too wide of a gap for a lot of champions to compete. Where currently we have some good decks, and then we have some decent decks, and then there are a fair bit of bad decks. But even those bad decks can function at like a 45 to 49% win rate.
You will still have,
right?
You don't have to create a tier 0 format in Wild. You will still have life balance in Wild, I'm sure with that. And you will just have two different, like, you will double the amount of playable cards, basically, is what I'm saying. Because the broken stuff will just be moved to Wild, and then people don't care if they play Wild or Standard. If people want to play Twisted Fate, they don't care if they play Twisted Fate in Wild or in Standard. They just care about Twisted Fate being playable. And then you have twice as many formats with twice as many tier 1 and tier 2 decks. Sure, some will overlap maybe if you have like a broken champion who's good in Wild and Standard, but most of the time Standard champions are just weaker. And then the Wild stuff is where you have all of these great cards, which will just life balance both. And then twice as many people will play Legends of Runeterra because more champions are playable. And
yeah, I just hate formats. I don't know. I just want to play like the most standard competitive format, and it's disheartening when you can't play whatever you want. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to rotations. I can't. I literally wouldn't be able to qualify for Worlds playing the cards that I wanted if they got rotated out.
Yeah, but I think that Conansson, you're suggesting all of these systems and you're expecting them to have like life balance in the Eternal format, but what if that just like doesn't happen or just rarely happens? That's a problem. Like you're putting faith in Riot when like life balance right now has been good, but if they split up the team, if they have to start testing champions for both like the Eternal format and the Standard format, just in case nothing breaks, then maybe Standard format starts getting weaker and weaker champions because they just break shit in the Eternal format, and Riot's like, oh, but like Standard is fine, Standard is healthy, we don't care. That also sucks. There's a lot of problems that come with rotation, and I know that you're hopeful that they will be addressed, but I think me and Wick might have our reservations.
That bad because it's not that hard to like. It's harder to balance two formats than one, but they're literally balancing Path of Champions. Like they're going to have the manpower to like they nerfed the most broken encounter last patch. They moved the spatial from one guy. And like if they have the resources to balance Path of Champions, then they will have the resources to balance another format. And even like Wizards of the Coast, I don't want to flame them too much, but they missed out that literally a 300 card set that's infinite combo, and even they managed to balance like 5 different formats at once somewhat reasonably. And I don't know who has the bigger, like probably a little bit of a bigger team, but they also have 5 formats, like 15 by now, I don't know. They keep making a new format each year. So it's not that big of a deal to balance 2 formats, I would say.
Yeah, I guess. There's like also I love how in Magic there are like 5 different Eternal formats that just like start off from a certain year, and they're like, yeah, there's like, it's not even that, it's like the lower power level of the format while still keeping the like Eternal appeal and lower costs. I think like those are the things that are appealing for like Pioneer. And I don't know, there's Pioneer, there's Modern, there's Legacy, and there's one more, right? Where you can, there's like one more where you can play Ancestral Recall and all of those like broken cards from Alpha.
Separate mode, they have like Brawl, it's just Commander, and that's like literally if you open Magic Arena, that's like 17 different different game modes you can play. And Legends of Runeterra, you have like 1.5 basically as a competitive player. Like either if you play Path or you don't play Path, and then you have 1.5 game modes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have my reservations about rotation. I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm interested to see what Riot says about it, and how their thought process and view on rotating cards out has developed since they last spoke on it. Not at all, but I don't know. It just feels a little what's the word? Irresponsible for them just like tack it out there, like capitalize rotation. I don't know. It just stirred up a lot of stress in the community, and I don't know how they could have better communicated it, but
like whenever I talk to casual people, like when I'm a lot of in Discords, and then people come in and are like, is Vladimir good? I want to play Vladimir. And they're like, you have to say no. And the next guy comes in, is Pantheon good? And you have to say, like, kind of tier 2, Next guy comes in, is Maokai good? Kind of tier 2. And with 2 formats, like, the people don't care if they won't play Wild or if they play Standard. Okay. They just want to play Maokai or Pantheon or Vladimir.
Nobody. Okay, but like, you rotate out the older champions, they're going to be even worse. So then what are we basing rotation on? Because like in Hearthstone, rotation is based on when the expansions were released. Is that, and like that's what they're going to be basing rotation on for Legends of Runeterra. Like what? I know Legends of Rotations, but it's going to be based on sets. You know, they've indicated that in the past that sets are how these cards are organized. And
yeah, you know, I think it's also like really weird because for the first 2 years of the game, we're just getting like the new regions, right? So are they going to keep the? Oh, actually,
there it is.
Yeah, they might just like have a 1 year rotation cycle or a 2-year rotation cycle, and then just keep everything that was released up until like the Bandle City expansions as the quote-unquote core set. But
yeah, and everything gets rotated out.
Yeah, but that also seems like a bad model, because like all of these champions are always in the standard format, and then you go to Wild to play with the champions that got rotated out just because they had the misfortune of
I don't think it's
not being time-based in the first like 9 sets of the game.
Hearthstone and all the other games do that, but in Legends of Runeterra you don't release nearly as much cards as all the other games that are like having infinite pack filler. I think it's going to be much more champion-centric. Like, I want to release a new version of Ahri, and I rotate the old Ahri out. That's not definitely happening. They already talked about that. When they run out of champions, somewhere next year, or like next to next year, then you just reprint new champion, like the old champions, different ways, different abilities. You don't have the Kaiser that abuse everybody. You have like a different Kaiser, different keyword. It's definitely going to happen.
I mean, yeah, but I think that's like a good idea, but I don't think that LoR is currently in the point of its lifetime where that is either necessary or like it's either necessary because they haven't printed all the champions, or is it really wanted? Because I don't think that like people who want to play Vladimir are unhappy that Vladimir is poorly designed, because he's the blood-sucking guy. He sucks blood. He drains from the enemy nexus. I think that's
you could design
kind of the perfect design for him.
Like you can just make it more of his ultimate, that he like corrupts the guys. For example, he crafts like this poison or something. I don't know. I didn't play much Vladimir, but like we already have like 90 champions in the game, and there's 160 in League of Legends, and somewhere next year we will hit no, they're not going to slow down. They can't slow down. No way.
No, they're going to slow down.
No, I bet against it.
That's what they did.
I think they're going to slow down.
We don't slow down.
They already have.
I think they will slow down, and also as an additional padding, they'll start releasing like at least 1 or 2 Legends of Runeterra only champions
like,
per.
We already get so little hype
like expansion block.
It's like only like Magic the Gathering releases 360 cards every month, and we get like 10. Like
yeah, I mean,
well, because they just drain.
They release that many cards every month. How is that sustainable?
I don't know how many cards Yu-Gi-Oh releases, but there's also like big sets.
Yeah. I think that's more like Magic has a bad business model than Legends of Runeterra. It's like I think like Yu-Gi-Oh has 1 or 2 main sets between each ban list, and then a couple of supplemental sets. But I don't think it reaches like 360 cards per month.
Standard set, and then they have like a bunch of commander and stuff and things, but they definitely release around 300 new cards a month, or at least reprints in some fashion, like 200 new cards, 100 reprints with like some changes. But like only like 5 of these cards actually easy play. That's the point, that you have to buy packs, and then you have to hope you find these 5 cards that you play.
Yeah, I think that's like I feel like while the amount of cards we get in Legends of Runeterra is lower, in general they're like a lot less backfillery and a lot more like just playable in general. Like, sure, Riot could release like a 2-mana 2/2 with a random keyword every expansion, but like we're gonna see that and be like, oh, okay, I guess that's fine. Because the cards that you remember from Magic sets, you remember, Oko or the Twins or the Hydra, and these are like exciting. These are like exciting, important creatures or people, etc., within those expansions. And when we get like an expansion, we only get the important people like 90% of the time. Like this expansion, we got Jax, and we got Jax's crew. We got Kayn. Kayn is the only one that has like a couple of generic followers, but most of Kayn's followers, he has like that. He has the 2-mana 2/2 with Fearsome and Lifesteal. The Shuriman Predict one is generic. This is just a Forsaken Bakai, right? But the Keeper of the Box is like
say that from
a decently important figure.
Or from I'm talking more about the casuals. Like 2 days ago, I was like, oh cool, Magic has a new set. I literally just looked at all the art and all the flavor text. I didn't care what the thing is. And then I looked back at all of what the card actually did. And I spent like 3 hours just reading through all the new cards. And then I was like, maybe I should play this game again. And then I decided against it because it's still Magic. But like as a casual, you get like, as a child, for example, I didn't know how to play Magic. I literally didn't play with lands, but I just had fun looking at the card, looking at the artworks. And if you get 10 artworks, it's like less than 360.
Yeah, I think the other card games do this a lot better, where they create, like, they flesh out their worlds basically, with like, oh, here's a common unit from this expansion. Hearthstone currently released like a murder mystery expansion, and they had, oh, here are the gargoyles on the castle, and here is the cleaning lady, and here is the barkeeper.
Yeah.
And in Runeterra, we only get like mostly the important people, right?
We have back alley barkeep.
But he's like the back alley barkeep. Like, there aren't multiple back alley barkeeps, right?
That's true. Everyone has a name.
Yeah, I think that could be a problem, where maybe Runeterra should start printing more like world building cards, where they don't need to be extremely good. They just have to be like kind of generic pack filler, and they just flesh out the world. Which, I mean, there's also a problem where Legends of Runeterra already has like all this like supplemental material for fleshing out Runeterra and its world.
You get in each set a 3/1.
I know.
So random text, it doesn't matter, like can't be blocked by Eldrazi Scions. And like I have quick attack literally, first attack as long as it's attacking. That just tells you about the world. It's like this long flavor text, and it just tells you a bunch about funny stories about the world. And it's like so important.
Yeah, but Magic kind of has to do that, because this is its only medium of storytelling. Like, it gets the sets, it gets the flavor text, and it gets the one story per expansion, or a couple of stories per expansion. And like, that severely limits its world building, where Legends of Runeterra already has like 10 years of league lore. Yeah, and like, I mean, do you really want to like have a Piltover and commoner as a card. That's like, oh, 1 mana, 1/1.
Cool guys, like
Last breath. I don't know.
Who's this guy? I don't know if you even know that you don't play
Path. I don't know.
But that guy was loved by people. They're like an old. There's like this own little storyline where like they made it's just 1 mana 2/1. Yeah.
Yeah, but he has a storyline, right? Like all the cards in Runeterra, they kind of have to have storylines, and we don't get just like this generic pack filler. Oh, this is a warrior from this tribe. We get like, oh, this is the thing's called Thinker, right?
I don't know.
Maybe Legends of Runeterra should print more pack filler just to like pad out its expansions. But that would also
cards.
Yeah, they have, but they're bad cards. They aren't pack filler. Like they were meant for a purpose that isn't just existing. They just kind of fell flat because they fell flat.
Just 1 champ per month or something. That's not going to work. Like you need to release new cards as a card game, otherwise no hype generation.
Yeah.
Like you don't have these moments where you like have like these pro games where like one guy makes a pentakill and then people are like, oh my god, it looks so cool. You're a card game after all, and it's always going to be boring to watch. So you have to get hype with new content.
What do you mean? Surely we can build. Oh yeah, that actually like leads us to our next
you can walk
topic.
us through what happened.
Oh yeah.
If you want to start talking about that, but yeah, so
yeah, you can walk us through that.
So it started like when Kever on Twitter was like, "Oh, things are boring. I already have my world spot. If anyone else has a world spot, let's just have like a friendly money match. Whoever gets the highest on ladder, it's $100, And it was nice, but I think this tweet really came at a time where a lot of the top players were unhappy with the state of Legends of Runeterra competitive, because if you're a top 50 player consistently, and you can get high end ladder, you've already qualified for World, etc. Playing in grassroots tournaments isn't going to be as exciting. Climbing ladder isn't going to be as exciting. So these higher stakes matches that are kind of worth it, kind of get you invested into the game again, are really what they needed to give them an extra oomph or like reignite their spark for Legends of Runeterra. And after Kever, we got Broken Ball, and he was like, okay, I want to play someone on Trash Nasus, and Salty Simon accepted. And I was actually like looking at Ken and Ezreal players, and Salty Simon stood out as he had like 80% win rate on the deck in High Masters. So this is kind of an important match. It wasn't like important, but it was exciting. And it's a good set. If you want to watch it, it's on Sparkling Ice Tea's Twitch channel. The VOD is available. Game 13 was like really fun. It goes down all the way to game 13, so that's also exciting. But yeah, and other players just started talking about like getting into money matches themselves. There was also like, oh, do we want to do an EMEA versus Americas thing? So like, I think that this is nice because top players get to do something that isn't just like whining on Twitter about how Riot doesn't do enough for top players. Yeah.
It's really stressful, right? That we've just had 2 conversations regarding things not being exciting enough, right? Not excited enough for the highest professionals, and also not exciting enough for casuals because we don't have enough cards being released. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels as though Legends of Runeterra is fundamentally like it's not a priority compared to Riot's other games. And at the end of the day, like when you think about what Legends of Runeterra is put up against when it comes to Riot determining what to prioritize, I think it's hard for anybody to argue that Legends of Runeterra should have a higher priority than League of Legends. So fundamentally, like we're not going to be the most focused on game, but I think if we look at what the developers have provided for us, it's I don't know. It stresses me out that people are just so unwilling to participate in grassroots because they call it boring.
Good point.
Yeah.
And don't realize that the lack of participation is what makes it boring. So
there's this problem where since not enough like top players want to play in these grassroots tournaments, then the average competition is lower. Less people want to sign up, so the tournaments are also shorter, and like suddenly it's less and less worth it if you're like top 50. And how they wanted to remedy this before is to like introduce payment fees where like, oh, you pay $5 and it goes into the prize pool. But then anyone who wasn't a top player wasn't interested in the tournament because they're casuals, they just want to have fun. So there's this gap where like top players don't want to participate in grassroots because it's not worth their time, and the grassroots aren't worth their time because they're not participating in them.
Yeah, interesting.
And it just feeds into itself.
I don't really have a big opinion. I played some grassroots tournaments before, but I never felt like wanting to be the best Legends of Runeterra like player through 3D in like these tournaments. That's not really something I can talk a lot about. But I find it sad that there are like not many players who compete in these tournaments, and they instead like bitch around on Twitter. Like not this specific little thing. This is a cool thing. And just to showcase, we have a cool list here by Vogue on all of these different tournaments. We also will leave a list in here you can join different tournaments happening. Master Runeterra, for example, Monday Madness. We have like Mystic Shot and Tashita, where I currently play with like the random cards, draft cards. And then community Discord is a really, really cool document where you have like all of the information to get wherever you want to. All of the Twitch streamers as well. And yeah, I don't know what the thing here is if you like have to stream each week or something. But yeah, it's really cool to have that. But I agree with you. The good analysis is that if now people play in these grassroots tournaments and the grassroots tournaments can't get bigger, and yeah, they're stuck with these casuals.
Yeah, like the problem is that as Legends of Runeterra, we're kind of stuck in this like halfway point between card games and esports in general, where a lot of like grassroots esports, most of the games that were grown through grassroots were just like exciting to watch. So there was also an element of like, oh, we're playing, but also there's always an audience. Whereas card games often would grow based on like a weekly tournament, like building the community from the bottom up kind of way, where like, oh, you have your local game store and they're hosting weekly tournaments that you go to, and you become friends with the people there, and then one of the guys or people invites you, oh, I'm going to this bigger event, do you want to come with? And you work your way up from there. Where in Legends of Runeterra we have ladder, which is an extremely isolating experience. Like you can basically get high on ladder all by yourself. You probably won't push that far until you like until it becomes optimal to like start connecting with people and scrimming. But like you can literally just queue up ladder at any time and just grind LP. Seasonals doesn't require any qualifications. Also can be like an isolating experience. While scrimming is good, it's not a requirement. It's not like you have to physically go to a seasonal. So, you know, you also don't have the benefit of like, oh, have a social group that you can carpool with, etc., etc. And like card games often rely on these like very, very specific dynamics of having a local scene that then transfers into bigger events rather than like regular esports where like, oh, this is a big event, who wants to compete, who wants to come, etc., etc.
Like a small group, and then they're like, okay, we practiced a lot, we played a lot, we should go to bigger events, and they just like won next big event. We were like the PT, how is it called, PPTQ. We just got top 5. Our group of 5 people got like the top 5, and we were like 3 of those people were going to a Grand Prix, and one of those guys ended in second place of the Grand Prix. And this is really, I can second this. That's how you get dragged into the scene more. And
yeah, and Runeterra kind of doesn't have that. So we either have to artificially create that through these like grassroots tournaments that are happening weekly by like having these like smaller streamers and just like kind of Twitter friend groups, which it seems weird, but like having these like friend groups on Twitter is very useful because, you know, you're befriending people through an online space and you have like a closer group of friends that can still interact with the wider community, but you mostly interact with each other. And so like when one of you is doing well, you're cheering them on to like, oh, go win seasonals or whatever. So, you know, you're still emotionally invested in the bigger events, even if you drop out, even if you fall out. So yeah, like, I don't know, it's really hard. It's very tricky. And obviously, I don't think any video game company that has been releasing card games has solved this issue. Even Hearthstone tried it with Fireside Gatherings a couple of years back, where they were like, "Oh, you know, go play Hearthstone with your local players on mobile."
I used to love pre-releases, but now Magic releases the cards 1 week before online, before you can play them in paper. And before you were like, oh, this is how the card works, and what do you think about this card? It's kind of exciting. And I was just like, I watched these 7 streamers, and they have these pro builds, and now have fun with the new cards, but they're basically already solved after 1 week of playing them, and it's just no fun anymore. So for me, the online scene of Magic has ruined the paper scene. Of course, you can still play for fun, but I don't have to. If I just want to play for fun, then why do I drive like 35 kilometers when I can just play online myself? I don't know. Vic, do you want to say something in between?
Yeah.
Like we don't want to.
It's interesting. I don't know. I just feel like, you know, the onus for developing Legends of Runeterra esports isn't solely on Riot. You know, they're not going to develop a scene for people who aren't engaged outside of, you know, like, I don't know. That's how I feel about it. You know, Riot stepped in to League of Legends esports when it was worth a lot of money. And, you know, Riot does things for money because they're a company and a business. So if there's no money and, you know, the scene isn't generating income for itself, like, I don't know why Riot would feel like obliged to step in. But I don't know. Maybe everyone else is right, and Riot is the only way that we can have a good game or a scene for it. But they already give us Worlds. I don't know. That's more than.
I think the like the biggest ask I personally would want from Riot is like ways to implement grassroots tournament through the actual like LoR client, so that you don't have to go to these like third-party websites or Discords or like Reddit, if there was like, I don't know, maybe not even just a tournament fighter, maybe just like a built-in system that you can just like copy paste a tournament code, and then that directly can feed the data into some like third-party website, and then tournament organization becomes like so much simpler, and data gathering from these tournaments becomes so much simpler, and you know, hopefully if it becomes more accessible, more people would host tournaments and organize them, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, I still think that like that's too much of an ask from Riot at this point in time, with the interest that grassroots tournaments are getting.
StarCraft 2 is now dead for like 3 years. It is. I literally got like one half balance patch and didn't get any support anymore. But they empowered the people. And there's like one StarCraft player now, a StarCraft streamer, who just plays custom campaigns, and he has like 100,000 views, more than like any LoR player, I think. And it's just like, because if you empower the people, if you give them the resources in the client, then they will play in the client and they will just play the game without having to rely on the outside things. And like, I think 1 month ago I played in these tournaments. I was like, there's like a tournament each hour. I was like, how many people are realistically still playing StarCraft? And is there really a tournament happening each hour? And there was a tournament happening that hour. And I don't know how the statistics are if you play in the middle of the night, but I was like during the day and the evening, and immediately there were like 8 people from my strength of like platinum level who were wanting to play a tournament at the same time. And we played around the best of 8 people tournament, and it was a lot of fun. And in Pokemon even, sorry.
Yeah.
Nothing. You just had a.
Yeah.
Like, what was the monetary compensation for that? Like, why would anybody be interested in playing that? You know what I'm saying? Like.
No. Pokemon has also this, like, but the Pokemon gives you packs, which you can like either trade for cards or just open them yourselves, which I don't think would go well for Runeterra. A lot of these tournaments require incentives, and like the incentives could either be cosmetic or they could be cards, which is what drives like Magic's. Magic also has like tournaments on demand, where you can just queue up and like play some games in tournament setting, and then get packs. I think you even get their premium currency, which you can use to either buy packs or cosmetics, etc., etc. And like, LoR kind of can't have those incentives because all the cosmetics, we already get very little cosmetics, and people are already not spending enough on them, right? And so introducing a system that is for something that players who want them already have them, and players who don't want them don't want them.
Incentive other than like,
so
you will never use that you played a tournament once, but people just want to play tournaments. People just want to play the game.
Well, but they don't. That's the discussion that we started this off. People literally aren't interested in playing grassroots tournaments for Legends of Runeterra. People literally don't think that they're worth their time unless like you're in Brazil where you get coins from Riot BR.
But like Brazilians don't even like to do it for the coins. Like, yeah, the coins are a good incentive for like semi-casual players, but Brazilians just have like a tournament every single day, and they're like, all of them, at least like 50 people are participating.
And
like
that's last time the best region.
Yeah, like everyone's always like, oh, Brazil is so cracked. 4LW, like rank 1 pirates reinvented
all they do
it.
is tournament.
Yeah, they host internal tournaments. They have daily tournaments, and when you suggest this to like top players in EMEA and in
Americas,
like in North America specifically, and they're like, no, I mean these like smaller tournaments aren't worth my time because I'm not getting enough money. I'm not getting enough experience to make it worth it. And like then the grassroots scene never grows.
Well, yeah, but
and it just kind of
like the
eats itself at this point.
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
The people who are that good, I don't think you can really rely on them to fuel the grassroots tournaments. I remember when I was like 15, I was like diamond in StarCraft or like shortly masters, and I literally couldn't figure out, I couldn't invest the time to go into a second web page to like try to make money or something like that. I just played in the game client, and if we had something in the game client, a lot more people like that would join. And like I remember, I said my mom, look, you can make money off of gaming. You can join this tournament if you like help me sign up. You can make $50. And he was like, yeah, it's probably a scam. Don't do that. And yeah, that's like just what grassroots tournaments are in most people's heads. They have to go outside the client, find the specific Discord, then talk to people. It's a huge barrier for some people who like maybe don't even speak English. They just want to play the game. And it's a big difference if you have it in the client or like have to find some obscure Discord or website.
No, and that's definitely part of the problem, right? Is that the accessibility and the amount of knowledge that you need to enter the competitive scene is just way too high. It's so secretive. It's like so locked away from like random people, and like I really think if Riot just had a little section that said, "Hey, here's a place where we highlight community tournaments," like all those tournaments suddenly have so many more people playing.
Yeah, that's like, at least like something.
But I guess again, see, Riot just do everything for us. All right, that's just we literally can't do anything for ourselves.
The community can't solve everything. We can't.
I'm sorry, I'm being salty.
We can do what we can do as a community, but we will always have to rely on third-party websites. We will never have stuff in the game. Like
no, we can't.
Literally, I can write all the timestamps for the video for seasonals, but if Riot doesn't put it in, then only like 50 or 60 people will see it. Like,
I mean, I know, but like ESL ran Go for Lols for like years, and that's a third-party platform, and that was like one of the most successful grassroots tournaments for that game. I don't know. For League of Legends, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I feel like the community can do more. Obviously, Riot can as well, but Riot's not going to do anything to step up what they're already doing until we start. I don't know. Maybe I'm just copium and have too much confidence in the community to, address things in an effective way. But, I think that Riot has done a lot for the competitive scene. They've put the best of 3 in. They coordinate seasonals. They coordinate worlds. Like
difficult discussion, difficult topic.
I don't know.
It depends on how you define enough. But
it's obviously not enough.
It's like not. I wouldn't think we would have a competitive scene at all if it would just not have these big tournaments. I think I would even have a team if there was no worlds, there was no seasonals. Like we shouldn't just flame Riot because they brought back seasonal podcast
I think
they are doing their part. I don't know. Sorry, Restless.
I don't know. I think that seasonals, the competitive interest at the beginning of Legends of Runeterra was there. And then Riot introduced seasonals with this extremely big prize pool that no grassroots tournament can ever compete. And it becomes this extremely big bi-monthly event that every single top player is focused on. And it kind of, severed the competitive community into people who only care about seasonals and people who want to just continuously play just best of 3s in as many ways as possible.
Anyways, I think we've discussed for 2 hours now. Time to wrap it up. And yeah, this was a great discussion today. Lots of different topics. Also, I like when the discussion is a little bit controversial. If you just always say, everything's great. it's kind of boring to listen to, but I love this. Like it's really great, and it's totally okay to have different opinions and
Yeah. That's good. If you, the viewer, like these extremely hot takes from me, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/
like 500
rest1. Yeah, right there. And yeah. No, don't. Oh my god, no. People are going to see the non-Legends of Runeterra content that I post. Oh my god. I need to stop.
True.
Scroll down.
Going to get censored here. I saw it, yes, but I purposely keep scrolling. Okay.
Did you not see it?
Content.
That's the point, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
ABG is great.
Anyways.
Yeah. Shout out ABG. Shout out RIWAN, the poetry server.
Yeah. Yes. Shout out to I don't know if I'll pronounce LoR Santupia.
Santupia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great guy.
Posts every single top 3 from a community tournament. Has a WordPress. Yeah, just if you want to get into grassroots tournament, he posts like everything. He has a website with like every single day for the next, I think, month. Yeah, you can also check out Mystic Shot Podcast. They host weekly tournaments, which also has like a monthly championship for $100 prize pool, and you get free entry if you I don't know if it's top or win a tournament.
It's top 8.
Top 8, yeah. If you top 8 tournament, nice. You get entry into Mystic Shot Championship once a month for $100.
The bug fixes at all,
but yeah,
it's unnecessary yet.
Okay.
Yeah, let's quickly look through it.
They're pretty standard. Oh no, Lantern Bug got fixed.
Lantern Bug got fixed.
Longer than expected.
Yeah. Let's go.
A little. Okay. Tidal wave doesn't matter.
It's just too long animation time.
Affects count card add to hand. That's what
tidal wave bug.
Bugged.
Yeah.
Even if disintegrate now, we count as a slave. I don't like that. Like,
ambush.
That makes sense. Like the other way around.
I don't know. It kind of makes sense, kind of doesn't, but...
Yeah, the unit's not killing itself. You're technically killing it, right?
Yes, but...
You are slaying that unit.
Yes.
Okay, and you cast Disintegrate.
I can see that. Like, Disintegrate, it definitely can make sense, but also can not make sense. It's a fine change, obviously. More logical thing is to work. Will I progress and unit transform to another unit with a new keyword?
Attach units.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Evolve buff, let's go.
No, we did the nerf Kaiser. That is like the in-hand key barrier. Yeah.
No, okay. Evolve buff, Kaiser nerf. Let's go.
How did she gain progress accidentally?
I guess so.
I don't know.
Oh, that still worked on Kaisa?
Oh.
That's kind of big.
Then they nerfed it, or they fixed it like for Shen. So
the barrier.
Attach units. Sag.
They look out.
Good.
The 1/2.
No, what do you mean? Did you?
No, it didn't fix it for the 1/2. The 1/2 still gets buffed.
Yeah, they fixed it for like all the Shen stuff.
Like the student got fixed. But the 1/2 still gets buffed, as far as I remember. Yes.
Yeah, the 3/1 doesn't get barrier anymore.
Okay. Gwen will no longer level up if she dies.
That's true.
Really? Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
that's
now
true.
Properly. I played this card. It's crazy. It's such a cool card.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually a really good card. It like curves really nice with Udyr. It's so bad that Udyr is just like a mediocre card.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this. I love it. I love this when they like change full text
and they always
to match what the card is doing and stuff like that.
It's really interesting. Wait, you do want to see that? It's like kind of think. Okay.
Oh, you are. I would love to see that.
Yeah, me
just
too.
like boring for most people.
Yes. No, I think it's very interesting. I've always wanted to see a list of all the changes that have been made just to make sure that things are.
Just this. The one version of Molten Shield.
I don't know. I would love to see the differences.
That's deal 3. I just changed it that one deals 2 and the other deals also says deal 3. That's like was the last update on the wordings. I don't know what this update is, obviously. But we only know that when the game files come out, because it's like a person who can like hack the game file or something.
Okay.
I don't fully understand how this works.
Yeah, they take it from the.
No, something else, but I don't know.
They take information from the LoR data dragon, I think.
Probably, do you think they have fixed the card sticking around on the screen? That would be very nice. But
I don't know. I don't want them to fix it. It's so funny. It's so funny. I know it literally disrupts play in some instances, but it's the funniest bug ever.
One bard game in Path.
I don't know if they'll be able to 7 cards
do it. Stuck on my screen.
I think it's like an engine thing. Yeah.
I have this on recorded, so like so funny. Just have like everywhere.
Oh my god.
Oh god. Okay, but we also covered the bug fixes.
That is
stick around
insane.
For that. Thank you for that. Let's call it a night.
That's awful.
And thank you for joining Restless. Hope you join us in the future again.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
No problem. If you ever want me back, I'll be happy to come again. It was a really wonderful experience.
Those are the most basic.
Yeah, I don't think giving me a platform is good, but you know.
Yeah, great. And yeah, thank you for watching, and see you in the future episode.
True.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Okay, stop the recording.
Have a great day. See ya.
Thank you, everyone.